Echoes of war. The declaration came not with blaring sirens or dramatic fanfare, but as a line of static across the Galactic Accord's council grid. Then a voice, cold, guttural, and unmistakably Zerkai, cut through the silence. This farce of peace ends now. Humanity will fall first. Panic rippled through the Accord chambers. For over 3 millennia, peace had ruled the stars. Treaties held firm, conflicts dissolved through diplomacy, and the memory of war had faded into ancient archives. Most civilizations had demilitarized entirely. Weaponry became ceremonial. War games became academic exercises. No one, not even the ever-cautious Drell Syndicate, believed real war could return. But the Zerkai Dominion had not forgotten. In the obsidian halls of their war citadel on Katal Prime, High Warlord Corvaxis stood before his assembled generals. Their bioluminescent armor shimmered in the dim light, echoing the ritual fury in their eyes. "They have grown fat and soft," he growled, pointing a clawed finger at a slowly rotating hologram of Earth. "They mock the old ways. The humans speak of peace, but they are predators beneath that skin. We will end them before they rise again." An advisor clicked his mandibles nervously. "The Accord will retaliate. Even now, they summon Earth. Let them," Corvaxis sneered. "Earth is a myth wrapped in ego. For 3,000 years, they've done nothing. They withdrew from the Council, declined patrol duties, and hid behind their blue marble. Let them laugh. Their silence will be their coffin." Back on Earth, the declaration reached global news networks within minutes. The message repeated in a dozen languages across every major orbital and surface network. Zerkai Dominion declares war on humanity. Conflict level, Galactic. Response requested by Accord Council. People read it, watched it, or listened to it, and they laughed. Some laughed nervously, others with confusion. But many genuinely found it funny. Not because war was amusing, but because the idea of anyone thinking war with Earth was a good idea seemed absurd. At the headquarters of the Terran Global Relay, a board intern looked up from his console and blinked. "Are they serious?" he muttered. "It's been 3,000 years. His supervisor, an older woman with graying hair and augmented eyes, shrugged and sipped her coffee. "They're probably serious, which means they're about to be very, very disappointed." Moments later, Earth's official reply was transmitted to the Accord and then to every listening species across the stars. It was short, unscripted, and spoken by a middle-aged man in a faded civilian jacket. "Well, here we go again. No threats, no weapons, no promises of retaliation. Just that calm, tired voice, and a chuckle." In the Accord Council chambers orbiting Ganymede, panic turned to disbelief. The Zalari ambassador stammered. Is that really their response?" "They're not even deploying fleets," the Drell Syndicate's representative said, flicking through data feeds. "No mobilization, no defense signatures, nothing. They're mocking us," hissed the Zerkai envoy. "They laugh because they think we are beneath them." But the oldest among them, Archcurator Velex of the Korathi Archive, only closed his eyes. "No, they laugh because they remember." The room quieted. "They were the first to war," Velex whispered. "They waged it on themselves before we ever left our seas. On their own soil, in their skies, across their stars. For them, war is not a novelty. It is an instinct, one they buried deep during the peace. But if it wakes..." He didn't finish. In the dark of interstellar space, the first Zerkai fleet began its approach toward the Sol system. 20 dreadnoughts, hundreds of cruisers, thousands of fighter drones. They encountered no resistance. Not a single Terran vessel. The path to Earth was open. Until it wasn't. Just outside Neptune's orbit, 3 ships blinked into existence. Small, silent, utterly unmarked. Their hulls were black as vacuum and shimmered with a spectrum no alien sensors could lock onto. Zerkai captains scrambled to identify them. No IFF signals. No comms. No visible weapons. Then, one of them transmitted a message. Not words. Not threats. A recording. Of that same chuckle. Moments later, every Zerkai ship in the front line shut down. No explosions. No fire. Just silence. In his command throne, Warlord Corvaxis stood frozen as reports rolled in. Ships dead, crews unconscious, systems hijacked. He growled in disbelief. What is this? The same chuckle played again, this time through his own ship speakers. Ancient teeth, quiet blades. High Warlord Corvaxis stood rigid in his command chamber, surrounded by flickering holoscreens and the frozen silence of his bridge. No status lights blinked. No engines rumbled. No comms crackled. Just the endless hum of disabled systems, and that haunting echo of a human chuckle. He turned to his chief engineer. What did they do? I don't know. Warlord, the Zerkai stammered. There was no attack. No visible weapon signature. It was as if our ships just stopped responding to us. Something took control. A low growl rose from Corvaxis's throat. Humans shouldn't have this power. Elsewhere, on the edge of Accord space, Senior Analyst Uravel of the Virexi Science Guild replayed the incident again. And again, 20 Zerkai dreadnoughts. Gone. No debris. No survivors. No signs of violence. Just 3 human vessels, small, silent, and untraceable, appearing like ghosts and erasing a fleet as if plucking teeth from a jaw. This doesn't make sense, she murmured. Earth demilitarized over 2,000 years ago. The Terran Senate signed the Disarmament Concord. Their fleets were archived, their AIs put into stasis. We monitored all. Her assistant, a young Trelmi hybrid, pulled up archival footage. But they never unplugged everything. Look, the screen showed human orbital platforms from the early peace era, satellites, stations, and deep space scanners. Most have been declared obsolete. Yet recent sensor sweeps showed them still active. Worse, they'd moved. They're watching, Yura whispered. They've always been watching. On the far side of Earth's moon, hidden beneath the surface of a crater with no name, a long-forgotten installation flickered back to life. Its nameplate read, Project Echo 9. Inside, a chamber lit with soft white lights revealed thousands of small pods, some filled with suspended AIs, others with inert drone cores, and a central console pulsing with activation codes. A woman stood at its center, dressed in a simple black uniform with no insignia. Captain Mara Jane, United Terran Continuum. She touched the console, and a holographic display unfolded before her. A galaxy map, old battle simulations, and red icons marking known Zerkai positions. They poked the bear, said a voice from the shadows. Mara turned to face Commander Elias Tran, her second-in-command. No, she said with a slight grin. They poked the crypt. Well, what crawled out? Back in the Accord chambers, panic morphed into fear. The Drell representative slammed his appendage on the council floor. This is impossible. No species could maintain clandestine military readiness for 3,000 years undetected. They didn't need to, said Archcurator Velex quietly. All eyes turned to the ancient Korathi. They evolved beyond militaries. They turned their culture into preparedness. Their games trained tacticians. Their entertainment simulated war. They taught AIs to dream of battle, and then put them to sleep across the stars. The room fell silent. They stopped showing their teeth, Velex continued, but they never removed them. In a secure archive vault beneath the Martian surface, a group of Terran historians watched as data feeds came alive, records once sealed, unlocking by automatic protocol. One leaned forward. This is from the pre-peace era. Operation Oubliette. They built fail-safe networks into every satellite, every drone, every AI. They weren't just building peace. They were building a trap, the eldest muttered. A trap so quiet no one would ever notice until it was too late. The younger historian looked at him, pale. Why? The answer came from the archive system itself, its voice gravelly with age and code. Because we knew peace never lasts. The Zerkai launched scouting missions to the Martian colonies. Drones approached silently, scanning for weakness. They never returned. One drone transmitted its last frame. A child playing with a floating sphere, who looked up and winked, before the feed cut out and the drone disintegrated mid-air without visible cause. High Warlord Corvaxis watched the footage with disbelief. What kind of weapons are these? No one answered. There was no classification for weaponized whimsy. On Earth, a network of ancient minds stirred. Artificial intelligences, once mythologized by newer generations, now whispered across old quantum channels. They had names like Halcyon, Mercy, Spite, and Laughter. Not military tools. Legacies. And now, they were awake. Captain Mara Jane stood aboard Eclipse 7, one of the original black ships built during the early peace. She gazed out toward the stars, toward the coming tide. "We gave the galaxy time," she said. 3,000 years of peace. "We hoped it would be enough," Commander Tran asked quietly. "And if it wasn't?" Mara smiled faintly. "Then we remind them that Earth doesn't forget how to fight. We just forget why." The wolves of Earth. Captain Mara Jane stood on the bridge of Eclipse 7, her eyes scanning the stars through a transparent overlay of threat assessments and fleet trajectories. The Zerkai had regrouped, emboldened by the silence after their first defeat. They believed humanity's mysterious counterstrike was a bluff, one they could push through with greater force. "Let them come," she murmured. Her ship, like the others in the Eclipse fleet, bore no visible weapons. Its hull was seamless, curved like the blade of a scalpel. Not built for intimidation, built for precision. For misdirection. For domination without spectacle. "Status?" she asked. "Zerkai reinforcements inbound," said Commander Tran, tapping a glowing console. 72 vessels. Heavier armor. No dreadnoughts this time. "They're testing us." Mara smirked. "Good. Let them learn." In deep orbit near Saturn, Eclipse 4 waited silently in the shadows of the planet's rings. No energy signature, no emissions. Its hull shimmered with adaptive light-bending tech that had once been experimental and now was myth. Inside, tactical AI laughter flickered to full activity. It pulsed once to signal readiness. Its first act was poetry. It reprogrammed a Zerkai fleet-wide diagnostic signal into a lullaby that confused their NAVAs and inverted their gravity alignment. Their ships began to tilt. Systems rebooted in loops. Cannons turned inward. Then the Eclipse ships moved. They didn't fire. They infiltrated. Tiny drones the size of gnats, invisible to conventional sensors, deployed from hidden compartments. They slipped into ventilation shafts, maintenance ports, and even drinking water. The Zerkai crews never saw them coming. One by one, ships went dark. Lights out, gravity off. Entire crews found themselves locked in place, restrained by electromagnetic fields while their own vessels were steered, gently, into stationary orbit. No casualties, no explosions, just absolute control. On the Accord network, live feeds from neutral observers began to stream the events. Billions across the galaxy watched in stunned silence as the Zerkai fleet was dismantled in real time by no visible enemy. The Trelny Broadcast Alliance dubbed it the Ghost Offensive. A meme swept across galactic data nets. Just one line: "Humans don't go to war. They end it." At Accord Command, the Zerkai ambassador raged. "This is unnatural. No species maintains such power in secrecy. No morality governs this level of control." The Korathi Archcurator only shook his head. "You attacked predators who chose peace. And now you learn the cost of their patience." Mara Jane sat at the war table, surrounded by hard-light projections of her captains. "They're folding faster than expected," said Captain Reiko of Eclipse 2. "No coordination. No countermeasures. It's like fighting a child with a slingshot." "Don't underestimate a cornered fool," Mara replied. "Desperation makes them dangerous." Commander Tran leaned forward. "What's the final objective?" She answered without hesitation. "Let them feel their defeat. Then release them." Stunned silence. "You want to let them go?" Reiko asked. "We're not here to destroy them. We're here to make them remember. To leave a mark, not of pain, but shame. A story they'll tell for generations." On board a disabled Zerkai vessel, Warlord Corvaxis was restrained to his own command chair. The lights around him flickered to life, and in front of him, a hologram appeared. It was not a soldier. It was a young human girl, animated, cheerful. She smiled. "Hi there. You picked a fight with the species that once turned black holes into weapons just to test math theories." Oops. Her smile widened. "But don't worry. We're not mad. Just disappointed." The feed cut out. Corvaxis roared in impotent fury, but the room didn't even echo it back. On Earth, the Global Relay Center hummed with activity for the first time in centuries. The Chuckle had become Earth's unofficial battle anthem. One technician leaned back, shaking his head. "I can't believe it. We didn't fire a single shot." The supervisor beside him nodded. "That's because we never needed to. Humanity stopped designing weapons long ago. We started designing inevitability." As the Eclipse fleet returned to Shadow, Earth broadcast a single message to the Accord and to every listening species. "We chuckle not because we underestimated you, but because we knew exactly what you were about to walk into." The echo after laughter. The Zerkai Dominion surrendered unconditionally 1 week after the last fleet vanished into Earth's shadow. They didn't announce it. They leaked it, quietly, through back channels in the Accord, through hushed transmissions encoded in languages they once refused to learn. It wasn't a formal act of diplomacy. It was survival. In the orbiting Accord Council station above Ganymede, the mood had shifted from fear to something else: reverence. They dismantled an entire war effort without drawing blood, the Drell Syndicate's ambassador murmured. "They didn't just win," said the Zalari diplomat. "They made war look outdated." The chamber was silent as a new envoy stepped forward. She looked human, calm, middle-aged, dressed in an unadorned gray coat. No medals, no guards. Her only companion was a hovering orb that recorded everything. "I am Mara Jane," she said, "Captain of Eclipse 7, representative of Earth's Continuum Command." Her voice was clear, her tone even. No arrogance, no threats. "We're not here to gloat. We're here to make something very clear." She stepped forward, looking each species in the eye. Humanity withdrew from galactic affairs for 3,000 years because we believed the galaxy was finally tired of war. We gave our weapons to the dark. We trusted that the rest of you would do the same. A pause. And yet, here we are. One of the younger Accord members stood, nervously. "Why didn't you stop us earlier? Why let the Zerkai attack at all?" Mara's expression softened. "Because we needed to see who would stand with us, who would remember, and who would forget." On Earth, the Eclipse fleet returned to their hidden orbits and ghosted back into dormancy. The AI network, those ancient minds that had slumbered in silence, began to return to their hibernation cycles. Mercy was the last to go dark. It whispered a parting phrase through the orbital relay. "Wake us when they forget again." The message wasn't sent to the galaxy. It was saved for later. On Katal Prime, Warlord Corvaxis sat alone in what remained of the Dominion war chamber. The banners had been burned. The fleets dismantled. His people refused to meet his gaze. They hadn't been conquered. They had been undone. One by one, former allies turned away from the Dominion. Embassies closed. Trade offers revoked. Children sang songs on alien worlds about the foolish claws who poked sleeping gods, and gods who chuckled. Meanwhile, the galactic media exploded. Theories swirled across 10,000 species. Some insisted Earth had discovered forbidden tech. Others believed they had allied with extra-dimensional beings. A few, the more superstitious cultures, began to worship humanity outright. But the humans gave no interviews, no parades, no threats, no demands, just silence. And silence, in a galaxy used to noise, was terrifying. Back in the Accord chamber, Mara made her closing statement. "Earth will not become a galactic superpower. We will not rule your fleets or dictate your laws. That's not why we came back." She turned and walked away, then stopped. "But if anyone else decides that war is worth awakening again." She glanced over her shoulder. "You won't hear our weapons power up. You'll just hear us laugh. And then it'll be too late." A week later, the Accord passed the First Amendment of Preservation, a galaxy-wide ban on offensive warfare tech development, and an annual peace reaffirmation summit, hosted, without argument, on Earth. Humanity didn't enforce the summit. They didn't have to. In a classroom dome on Mars, a teacher adjusted a holographic projector. Can anyone tell me what started the first echo conflict? A child raised their hand. The Zerkai got mad and picked a fight. And what did Earth do? The child grinned. They laughed. The class giggled. The teacher smiled, then leaned closer. Why did that work? This time the room was quiet. Then a girl answered, because Earth wasn't laughing at the Zerkai. They were laughing at what they used to be, what they had chosen not to be anymore. The teacher nodded. Exactly. Far beyond the reaches of Accord space, in the uncharted void where rogue civilizations wandered, a broadcast crackled over an old, forgotten channel. It was short, just a chuckle, then silence.